Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, top 1 financial advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. Meta announced its earnings just a few hours ago and did not go well. In fact, it dropped 20% overnight. And if we look at year to date, it's down 61%. By the time you're looking at this tomorrow, it might be even worse. So in this video, we've got to discuss what in the world is going on with Meta. Does it make sense to buy? Does it make sense to sell? And just what are my general thoughts about it and reactions to what in the world is going on. Now, I will tell you, I own about 5% of my overall net worth is in Meta shares. Now, I bought this between 7 to 10 years ago, been holding on. It had been one of my best stocks up until now. So come December, we're going to talk about whether or not we're going to hold it, and I'll get into some of my thoughts around that as well. So here are some of the highlights. Now, yesterday y'all saw me with a giant piece of paper with notes. This one relatively small because it's a lot of quick hits, and none of them are good. Not a single thing on this page is good, but I will kind of look at one thing. I'll talk about it to kind of give you a rose-colored, optimistic view on one aspect of what's going on here. So, again, down 20% overnight, down 61% year to date from January to the time that we are recording this. That's obviously not good. Now, the stock market as a whole, while it has had a few good days this week, is now nowhere near 61%. So this is a huge red flag for Meta. When we look at their revenue, they are down 4% year over year. So between September 30th of this year to last year, the revenue is starting to slow down. Now, yes, Mark Zuckerberg and others have blamed the slowdown in the economy. That's fair. They've also mentioned Apple, which if you have noticed over the last year, I've talked about the same thing for Google/YouTube, same thing for Meta that we're talking about now, same thing for Snapchat. I bet you Twitter's going to say something very similar. That has been a thing. However, they've been able to kind of work around a little bit of this. 4% drop in revenue. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it ain't good, right? And it's not good when you are burning through $10 billion a year on something that doesn't look like it's going to be worth it. What is this $10 billion or $9.4 billion to be exact? That's the metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg is really investing hard into the metaverse. For those that don't know what the metaverse is, it's basically virtual reality. They have the Oculus headset, which I do enjoy. I do virtual workouts in there every now and then. But basically, it's an online infrastructure where you can meet, I would like to say in person, but meet virtually, work out virtually, and do all these cool workout things and exist in a fictional universe, and he feels that that is going to be the next wave. There are two reasons strategically why he needs to do this, why he needs this to work. Number one, Facebook right now doesn't really own a platform. I've talked about this with Netflix, where I've said that Netflix should buy Roku so that they can have a physical platform that they can own, and it can't really, be swindled out of certain deals. For example, Facebook exists on an iPhone, it exists on an Android, and they have to do whatever those app stores tell them to do. Well, if you are the first to the metaverse and you build all that stuff out, you have the best equipment, you have laid the groundwork for it, you now own that space, and people have to pay you to be in the metaverse and to exist in a thing that makes sense. Problem is, we don't know if the metaverse is going to be what Mark Zuckerberg wants it to be. We don't know yet if it is going to be a thing at all. We have seen how we thought crypto was inflation proof. We thought it was a hedge against inflation. It has not. I'm not here to say that crypto is dead. I'm not that bold. But what we thought it was going to be has not been that thing in 2022. The biggest thing we said about it, other than the fact it was fast, it was a way to transfer, people called it digital gold, hedge against inflation, it was going to be innovative, it was going to do all this stuff, it had to happen. We saw the same thing happen with NFTs, non-fungible tokens. It was going to be the next thing. It was going to be, magical and make people all this money, and that market has completely fell off. That is the same thing as the metaverse right now. We have built it up to be a thing, and right now it is not. And when you are expecting a slowdown, your revenue is slowing down, and you're spending $10 billion in a space that's not profitable right now, it doesn't look good. And they've also said in 2023, we expect those losses to get bigger. That is not good. That's a huge sunk cost into something that we don't really have an idea on whether or not it's going to work. Now, if I'm putting on rose-colored glasses, I could also say that there are entire businesses. You could say Tesla in the early going, maybe you can say Amazon in the early years, that a lot of times when you're starting a new business, especially in tech space, you spend billions and billions and billions of dollars up front, and you may not see that return until much later, but when you do see it, it tends to be significant. It tends to be one of the best things that you could, quote unquote, ever do. We'll see. We'll see. How long can you sustain losing 4, 5, 6% revenue every single year before that thing starts to pay off? Like, how is this? Is this a 3-year project where things are going to pay off, or is it a 10-year project and we're talking about $100 billion at that point? We don't know. But when you are losing money on the top end in terms of revenue, it doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. And in fact, from looking here, the net income, that's the money you have after all the bills are paid, that is down 52%. 52% loss in profitability, and you're losing $10 billion on something that we don't know is going to work. Okay, so financially, that doesn't look good. Okay, now when you look at the balance sheet for Meta, they still have cash and their debt is quite low. So financially, yes, they have the money. They're not going into extreme debt. They're not going broke. But again, your profitability was here and now it's cut down by 52% less. That's not great. When I start to look at who is buying shares of Meta right now, who in the company, whether it's Mark Zuckerberg or directors or all that, anybody who owns 5% or more of the company, it's not looking good there either. There are way more sellers. When I say way more, there are about 3 times, actually 4 times more sellers than there are buyers. Now, just because you sell, not the worst thing in the world. You can sell for a lot of reasons. I say that all the time. But the fact that it's 4 to 1 is not good. There are times where it's even. There are times where there are more buyers than sellers, which is what I would prefer if I'm looking to get into a stock. This is not that. This is not that at all. And I think Meta is coming to a crisis here where this is not the first year that they've been down. It's not the first time that we've started to see them slip in revenue. And now they have new competition. They have more competition now. And people are kind of souring on Facebook/Meta/Instagram. Instagram is in crisis. If you haven't heard about it already, people who are on Instagram do not like the fact that it is looking too much like TikTok. People on Instagram, most influencers, myself included, have not really seen the growth that we put into it. I sit down, just like I do these videos Monday through Friday. I put a lot of work into what I put on Instagram. This is not just me. There are plenty of research studies out there or news articles out there that also confirm this. But for somebody like me, I sit down, just like I do these videos, put a lot of work and research into these, make small bits, put it on Instagram, and I expect, right, just like I do here on YouTube, I expect a decent amount of views and slow regular audience growth. Well, I would say the last 8 to 9 months, once they started to change the algorithm and force people to use Reels, it hasn't really worked. And for a while, you can actually go back to my Instagram right now. You'll see that when I hit 19,000 followers, I usually get like 1,000. I would say every 3 months or so. And at one point, I was stuck at 19,000 followers for 9 months, just stuck there. There was also another famous person. I don't consider myself famous at all, but sometimes people do, whatever. But there's Lovey Ajayi Jones, who has, I think, 457,000 followers. She said she was stuck over the last 8 to 9 months at the exact same follower count. And it happens over and over and over and over. So people are souring. I mean, Kim Kardashian came out and said the exact same thing. Make Instagram again, because she just wasn't liking it, right? So you have core users not liking your main platform on Instagram. People have been leaving Facebook left and right. They're going to YouTube. They're definitely going to TikTok and going to all these other places. That is another reason why ad revenue is falling at Meta. If you're not making the money on the top end, your main revenue driver, which is advertising, what do you do now? And what do you do when you're spending money, just throwing money at something that we don't know is going to be successful? Now, the good part of this is, you could have said the same thing to Mark Zuckerberg about building a social media platform and said that spending so much money and building this thing wasn't going to be a thing. It worked out. Right? It definitely worked out. So we will see. Do I think that Meta is worth buying right now? It's absolutely not. Right now, it does not make sense. I think they need more direction, more fiscal responsibility in terms of what they're spending, what they're trying to do in the metaverse, and they need to be able to stabilize their revenue. They have to be able to do that, because seeing them slip, whether it's 5%, 4%, whatever it's going to be year over year, is never a good thing. But this is almost their only way to make money, and this is not working for them. So they have to figure something out. If you ask me today, I'm selling it. Okay, this is not a hold for me. I can hold Microsoft. I'm good there. I don't like the fact that it's down 25% or whatever it is, but it makes sense, right? Microsoft, their revenue may be slowing down, but it still grew, especially in the cloud business. It grew by 35%. Cool. Okay, is that the 50%? That's fine, but it's still 35. I'll take that, right? I think general revenue across the board was up like 11%. Cool, double-digit growth. We'll take that. This is negative growth, and also Microsoft's not throwing $9.4 billion out the window hoping something is going to work. They have a very structured strategy. They own a platform, and they have multiple streams of income. Bing, LinkedIn, which their revenue, which is a social media platform, was up 17%. So, I'm like, if LinkedIn can make money, and they're a much smaller platform, different market, I get that, and Facebook can't, and you on Instagram, or Meta can't, you on Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp, and you're not making that money, we got problems here. Okay, we got serious problems here. So if I do own shares of Meta, I would sell. That's just me. Okay, now the reason I'm not selling is because I'm sticking to my formula. It may cost me right now, but in December, last week of December, I'm getting up out of that thing. This is not great, right? And it's been down, not just this year. I think last year it was negative as well. So those are my thoughts about it. Make sure I covered everything that I have on my tiny slip of paper here. And yeah, I've covered everything. I mean, it's not great. It's not great. I don't see any positives for Meta right now. If this is really, everything is hinged on the metaverse, and the problem with that is I don't know when, and I don't think Mark Zuckerberg has a clue when this is really supposed to pay off. Because again, I'll reiterate this, they've already said in 2023 they expect the losses to be bigger than the 9.4 billion that they're already throwing at it. So let's just call it $20 billion over 2 years, just 2 years, and we don't know where that thing is going. So this is, I'm not saying Facebook is going bankrupt. I'm not saying that they are going to fall off the face of the earth. I'm not going that far. I'm not going that far. But this is not a good situation. And these are the things that you do have to ask when you are investing in individual stocks. And this is the risk that you have when you own individual stocks. Because if I had just a regular, and I do own index funds, but if I only had index funds and Meta was doing this, guess what? I've got, let's say, S&P 500 index fund. Cool. I've got 499 other stocks. And I don't have to worry about one company that is trash in this particular year, which is what Meta is doing right now. So I hope my illustration has helped in some degree. But again, we'll see what I do with it. The other good thing is Meta's not the only stock I own. And the other good thing is why I'm calm right now when it's down 61% in a year is because I follow the 5% rule that I tell y'all about, where I can afford to be wrong on a stock and be this wrong, which is not great, doesn't feel good, though I've had it for a while, is that it's only 5% as a max. So we can take that 5% hit, say, look, didn't go well, we'll switch it out for something else, and things can continue to roll. Imagine if I had 95% of my money in this one stock. That's why you always want to make sure that you are diversified, that you still have index funds, and make sure that you have rules as to how much you are going to put in any one stock. So that's why I talk about that rule so much and why I follow it, because I can still stay sane and be fine with over the next, 60 days until I decide to switch it out. Okay. That is it for me. That's my rant on earnings for Meta. I did put up a poll on other things that y'all want me to cover, but Meta was trending tonight, so I had to talk about it. Let me know if there's anything else you would want me to cover. I know the IRA and 401k limits did change. Google also announced their earnings. I'd love to get into that. You tell me in the comments, what do you think about Meta? Buy, sell, hold. What are your thoughts on it? And then also, what do you want me to cover this week as well? There's a lot of earnings news coming out there. I think Amazon comes out tomorrow. A lot of stuff going on. So let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, that is it for me. I will talk to y'all tomorrow. And as always, make sure you join the members only. Got some really interesting videos coming out here pretty soon. So make sure that you join. All right, that's it for me. Talk to you later. Bye.